Investigation 13.1. Chapter 13, we start to introduce the idea of series and parallel circuits. These are really good for students to visualize, to understand the difference between not necessarily all the complex equations that go with measuring the resistance of either or. They can get kind of a bit over complicated, a lot of algebra going on. But conceptually, students should be able to understand that a series circuit has one pathway for the current to flow through, whereas in what they'll see in the next one, parallel circuits have multiple paths. But they also need to understand that that affects the voltage and the current flowing through the circuit. So today's just focus, or this experiment is just focused on the series circuit. So this is set up exactly as the diagram is in the lab sheet, just flipped around. And it's going to start off with students. So if you close it, notice they're all fairly dim, but it's going to have students measure the voltage. So set your multimeters to the 20 volt reading. And then it actually labels, there's part A, B, C, and D. And so they need to measure the voltage between A and B, B and C, all the different parts. So here we'll measure for this first part. They should notice that, should close the circuit. Should notice that I get a voltage reading of about 1 going across one bulb. That's intuitive. Our total voltage is 3, and I have 3 bulbs that will equally take up the voltage, so I should get around 1. If I go between B and C, I should get close to 1. C and D, again, close to 1. And across from A to D, now I should get closer to 3. It's 2.8. They were all slightly less than 1, but they should see that in their numbers. They can easily calculate that. And so then it's asking them about, hey, what's the relationship between the voltage? Oh, well, the voltage is going to drop consistently because these are the same resistance. And so when you do a voltage drop across the whole thing, should be the total voltage of the circuit. So from there, now it's going to have them investigate, okay, what happens if we take off one of the bulbs? Now what happens to our circuit? So I'll keep the light bulb close by, but now we're just going to connect it in with a wire. So now we just got 2 bulbs. Immediately, students will see, hey, the bulbs are a little bit brighter, and now instead of a voltage drop of 1, I'm getting 1.4. So the voltage going across each light bulb has increased. And now if I measure between points C and D, I should notice, hey, there is no voltage drop because there's no resistance, theoretically, in that wire. And then they'll do the same thing. We can do it pretty quickly here. Just adding in my last light bulb, or taking off my second bulb, just to visually see how much brighter the one bulb gets. And so now it's getting the full voltage of these as opposed to having to share it with the others. So that's, again, what I'm talking about, how they conceptually can see how a series circuits will work. And also the limitations of it. So let's add in a second bulb for a second. I'm not sure this is part of the lab, but you could certainly do this. Is, okay, what happens if I unscrew a light bulb? Okay, now even though everything's connected, the circuit was going through the bulb and now nothing works. And so this is how we have a conversation about, well, a lot of circuits, that's not going to work, because if my light bulb in the kitchen goes out and it's in a series circuit with my refrigerator, well, now my refrigerator's not working. And so we talk about how our houses are set up in parallel circuits to avoid that. But simple things like the old Christmas lights, those used to be in series, and so one bulb goes out and get this whole strand of lights out. It's like, well, good luck trying to find out which one burnt out. All right, to get to the next part of the lab, we are going to get back into our 3 bulb circuit. And it actually wants to investigate what is a short circuit. And so I'm just going to go ahead and connect this end right there. But it's going to have them measure, okay, what's my voltage with 3 bulbs in a series? And then watch what happens when I complete the short circuit. Whoop. Now these 2 go off, but that one's bright. And that's because the current has such an easy path to travel down through here that it's just going to skip past those. So that's a short circuit. And it kind of goes into the dangers of that, but also how that can be useful for certain situations. And they're going to measure the current going through that. So do keep in mind when you measure current, the circuit needs to be off. This is set to amps, and then that will help them. But pretty straightforward lab. As you can see, that gave some good concepts for how a series circuits work. And this will play really well when we go to the next one on parallel circuits, and how that is different. That one I think kind of trips kids out a little bit more, as we'll see. So with all that being said, thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.